What's going on there, guys, and welcome back to another video in my series on the Microsoft Flight Simulator Global Preview event. Today, I'm bringing you a 30-minute Q&A with 6 of the lead developers of the Microsoft Flight Simulator. Available to answer questions to us were Jorg Newman, the head of Microsoft Flight Simulator, Robert Gerald, the director of production, Sebastian Bloch, the CEO and co-founder of Asobo Studios, David Dedin, the CCO and another co-founder of Asobo, Martial Bossard, the lead software engineer and another co-founder of Asobo, and finally Lionel Fuentes, a lead programmer for Asobo Studios. In the background here, I've just got some footage rolling of the TBM 930 within the simulator at Chicago Midway. We'll get straight into the video though. It's quite a long video, about 30 minutes long for the question and answer session, and I have condensed the footage down for you guys so that it's a bit easier for you to watch. I would definitely recommend staying right until the end to listen to the final question and the answer that came from the developers, as it certainly was my favorite question that was asked throughout the session. Hope you enjoy the video. Thanks very much for watching.
So I think it's for us it was a way to start and making sure we didn't break anything first, right? It was supposed to be better, and so one system we had is a system which compares the difference between the two. We actually have the same flying, and you can see the differences. And I think maybe it's also a way if people want to very much used to the old system, and we don't want to force maybe anybody to the new one. And so it wasn't difficult to maintain the old one, so it's just there, right? If people want to use it, it's there. If they don't have to, right?
Okay.
Hello, we're not done. we keep adding stuff, really. So the 2 petabyte stuff is from Bing Maps, so we don't really have control over this. And like for example, the grass you see here is not animated. At some point, I guess it will be. And we want to make it as good as possible and to have the world a live world and make it better every time. So.
Yeah, I mean, we do talk about sometimes, not that jokingly, like there are no butterflies yet on the field. But you get some butterflies going, but you're right. It's an infinitesimally small thing, but I think we have a good base right now. I would say we can't commit to anything at this point in time. When we discuss it, there's simple VR and then there's good VR implementations, and you can slap something in cheaply and easily. But is that the right thing? We hold ourselves to like a really high bar, and that takes time.
This is a big question to answer, but thank you for asking it.
The answer now.
I think there's a lot of things that we think about. The team that came before us that was working on Flight Sim, and then there's a lot of decisions that were made at different levels that get paid a lot more than I do. That I may not always be in agreement with at Microsoft. I think as a player, I've seen some franchises come and go at Microsoft that have been really hard for me to let go, for reasons that may not make common user sense for me, but do make company sense. There's a lot of things that go into licensing this title, as you can imagine. And my desires and goals don't always align with what the company is processing and what they're targeting.
Okay.
But I think all of us went through that, and when we were given the opportunity to come back and champion the next generation of Flight Sim, how do we build something that my kids can grow up with and be proud of, and not try and burn the entire industry, but how to push others that compete with us to grow with us. Because I think you need that healthy competition, and that was exciting for me. You know, when Jorg and I talked about working on this, the ability to have that contribution to something that's been so beloved for so long is exciting, because it also comes with the weight of responsibility and accountability for the decisions that were made, maybe not by us, but that we're part of. And I think when I look forward, the things that we can contribute to and control are this is an investment. We're making an investment in this franchise. We want to be accountable for the things that we can be. But we owe it to the consumer, I think, to do right this time, because we can't fix what we should have done right last time. Yeah, you know, I think a lot of people, you're probably not going to like this answer, but I'll give it to you anyways.
That's fine.
I think a lot of people on the team and also in the Xbox org understand flight. You know, there are many titles that I've worked on and seen other people work on in the industry where maybe they didn't hit the right note with the consumer that we were trying to hit. That's a good learning process for us, which is why we're doing a lot of collaboration, or I hope we are doing a lot of collaboration with the community, because I think there are always opportunities for us to get better. I don't know that Flight was a good or bad title. I know that it was not a flight sim title, and I know that that's what we're focused on creating this time around. I would say I'm not sitting in this chair if I thought we were going to not be here in a year.
Okay.
That's my answer to that. I hope that we give you guys something that we can all build on, whether it's X-Plane or Flight Sim or Prepare 3D, whatever. I hope it's something that this platform can we all grow with over the next decade, because that's what I hope we're contributing to the Flight Sim. So right now we are not intentionally going in on how much we're going to price this thing out at and what the main specs are for very good reasons. There's a lot of nuance that goes into creating the game. Right now we're not planning on charging for a subscription. Like, I don't want to pay a subscription. You don't want to pay a subscription. I don't want to deal with microtransactions. You don't want to deal with microtransactions. I don't want to buy a product and then have to buy 70 other things to make the product what it should have been when it came out at launch. I don't either. And I think the great thing about this team and the people that we work with, especially Asobo, we all feel the same way. Like, I like VR and you like VR, and Lionel likes it. So we got to figure out how to make that happen. We haven't reached the state where we're ready to tell you how or why we're going to make that happen. So for now, let's just focus on making this great product. But I don't, and I'm going to hand the microphone to York because I want him to talk about this. I don't believe the team wants subscription. And I think York can give you a little bit more of why we're not being concrete about it right this second. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, there's a couple of questions that maybe I'll go back to yours first, if that's okay. You asked about something with ESP.
Yeah.
Is there a possibility that this is beyond flight? Yes.
Okay.
And we'll explore that. But right now, I would say we are 100% focused on dedicated to make a great game.
Sure.
On PC first, for the simmers out there. After that, we'll see. Subscription is one of those things. Robert, I think, said it emotionally exactly right. None of us are super, like, should there be a subscription on top of what you do? No, we don't think so. Game Pass is a great thing. That the game comes out with Game Pass. I'm super excited about it because it brings this type of product to completely different people. I like that. I think that's great. They should see if they like it. You know, but the product is what it is. But yeah, just beyond that, I don't think we have any specifics to announce or anything. I can speak to that a little because I work in that space right now. So when I said earlier about partnerships, and we learned a lot about third parties out there, and there's lots of them, and they're smart and dedicated and bring a lot to the table, and we want to support that. And when we look at our airports, for example, it's a topic right now, we have really good airports. We like our airports. They have made a bunch of airports. Some of them are better than what we can make out of the procedural systems that we have. There's no reason why we shouldn't have the airports in our game. So I think we're going to support add-ons, and people should buy whatever we would like.
Uh, 2016, yeah, 2016.
Yeah.
Early 2016.
Wow.
Yeah, May or something.
Cool. Yeah.
Is this decorated now?
Yeah. That's all I need.
Yeah, but it started with what we said. Like, it literally was, hey, can we get Seattle to run? And that was a team. That was a very small team. You were probably on that team.
Oh yeah. So, yes, I was. So yeah, we started with a little bit of the historical thing. So So we have our own proprietary engine at Asobo. We're starting saying, yeah, let's put a plane in there. So
from FSX.
from no, it was actually
Cessna?
the Cessna thing was actually modeled at Asobo.
Was it?
So we just put a plane in there and we had our own aerodynamics thing, and then we brought all of this legacy from FSX. So this is so you were talking about add-ons. One of the reasons we brought everything of FSX and not just the flight model is because the way FSX is designed makes it so that everything here is moddable, modifiable, and it has layers of like the BGL files where you can add scenery on top of others, and the way the simulation can be configured, or the way you can import additional models, etc. So we wanted to, so because we were kind of new to the world of flight simulation, and this was very different to how we do things usually, we wanted to take the safe bet of starting with something that works, that has been recognized for that lasted 10 years, so there must be something good in there. So we started with this, and and so we are using this architecture, merged that somehow with our engine, and added Bing maps on top of all this. Our first version was full offline, then we download live, etc. So we went in incremental processes, which is how we work at Asobo. We tend to do something, look at what's good in there, and mostly what's bad, and improve on what's bad, and then look at what it looks like, and then so until nobody complains, which actually never happens, because we're French. So.
Yeah, we can't confirm yet, but we are looking at that exact roadmap ahead. We talked to some third-party partners. They want us to come all over the place, all over the world, and we will be there. But we can't commit yet. We haven't booked our tickets or anything. But that's the intent.
I think so to follow up on your question, sorry, because I think it's an important one. The E3 event for us was hard.
Yeah.
And it was hard for the reason you just mentioned, because we felt like we have an accountability to the flight sim community, and for many good, very good strategic reasons. E3 was the right step for us, but it wasn't the ideal step for us. Mm-hmm. And the message that came out initially was one that we really took hard, because we understood that it made people feel, in the flight sim community specifically, that hey, we're making an Xbox game. It's all about the controller at an Xbox, event, showing once again that we're tone deaf, and that's something that we're aware of, and I think that that things like Vegas and flight shows like Oshkosh, etc. We want to have a presence, and you can understand prematurely that made it difficult for us because of this that we're doing right this second. But now that the cat's out of the bag, I do hope that we have a lot better relationship with people in person than just online.
Yes.
All right then.
So, as we said during the presentations, we also bring new variables, so you can get more of YouTube, right, and integrate more stuff.
So you have, so we are so not the ray tracing as in DirectX 12 DXR thing,
Right.
at least not now, but some ray marching stuff, like for the clouds typically you can there is this thing which works through the different the values of humidity, etc. that computes it. The scattering also is volumetric, but so the reflections you could see in the cockpit are using traditional SSR, screen space reflection, which is also a ray marching technique. So yeah.
And one of the effects Marsh had on the slide is the ambient occlusion. So it's not I would say it's not like the off-the-shelf type of ambient occlusion that you have very easily to implement. It's a very more advanced one, which also does ray marching in many directions, and it's not really ray tracing or like something would be calculated offline or something, but it's much more accurate in terms of in direct lighting, and it's extremely costly. So it's many algorithms in the sim are temporal.
Yeah.
So this one runs over 16 frames and it combines it. So all the reprojection, everything works like this. So it's about like the clouds. These effects are so costly that they are all temporal, and this allows to have a very accurate ambient occlusion, which is like it's very wide, it's very realistic, and so it adds a lot. It feels like ray tracing, but actually no, it doesn't need that hardware. It works on many more hardwares.
Good.
So right now we are DirectX 11.
Okay.
At some point we will switch to DirectX 12, and at this point we can start looking at these ray tracing things.
Okay, there are different ways to split this game. So you will be able to do like any kind of resolutions.
Yeah.
You will be able to expand the rendering.
You won't be able to separately adjust the angles of your monitors in the cockpit. He doesn't have separate views on screen.
So yeah, I get the questions about doing separate renderings and making that together to make some. Okay. So this is in the plans. Currently, we don't have that. For the home cockpit that you saw in Marshall's presentation, we have a single rendering, and we are using SimPit Warp, which you may know. For the warp thing, but it's definitely in the plans, and yeah, so.
Yeah, it's definitely in it. We are currently already able to do a multiplayer flight. We will dig a little bit more into the detail later on this, but yeah, it's part of the plan. I love your question because it's something we talked about super early in the process. Right now it's not possible, and it's not. We have no schedule for that. But it was definitely right since the beginning in the past. It's a fantasy we like a lot, especially what you've just said, being able to teach to someone or being an instructor. So yeah, it has been made in order to support this at some point, but I don't have any date at this stage.
But just to say, Robert would always say those things. We pay a lot of attention to the community, and we read everything. And when something gets repeated a lot, it certainly comes on our radar, and we'll try our best.
On the tech side, it's something that we want to bring, so we're already thinking on how it could be done. And don't worry, it's running. It's a running process.
I can tell you that we are super thankful for you guys putting a bunch of stuff on the forums because it makes my job a little bit easier. Like top 10 things the community wants, right? I wish somebody would consolidate that thread because it's getting long. The one in the absent one's getting pretty long. Like, what do we want? That said, we're in this, so my dream is to have everything ready at the get-go, but you guys all realize that's just not going to happen. But we're trying to do everything that we can to build a good base. Let's give you the world, the weather. Let's give you the right aircraft, the right conditions to fly in, and let's keep building on that. And when you guys tell us we're getting things right, then I think it's the next step is let's talk about what we bring next, whether it's helicopters, whether it's fighter jets. We are doing big and small jets, to answer your question.
Thank you.
But if we don't take these steps with you guys and do it correctly, then I worry that's not how you build a decade-long product. And so I think for us, accuracy, realism, quality, like they talked about this morning, to me on the development side, it's collaboration, transparency, and commitment, and then follow through. And so when we talk about things like that you guys are super passionate about, helicopters, I'm aware of it, and I love it because I also like helicopters. And we have who's on our team who loves to do combat flights. There's a lot of history there that we have to get it right, and I don't want to rush something out and then have you think we didn't give you the right amount of time. And that's genuinely not a corporate answer. Like, let's just do this right each step of the way, because we're gonna not do things right sometimes, and then we look for you guys to give us videos that are really hardcore critique.
Vampire.
You know, but that makes it better. But I think we need these kinds of commentary, right? So that we're not just listening to everybody who's impressed by eye candy, right? I think we have to get it right, and we don't have a good variety of people just saying the truth, then we can't react to that with the truth. So, yeah, I would like to say to you yes, and I think yes is the answer. It's just when.
So, yeah, Lionel talked about a few alternatives, and so obviously there's an adaptive bandwidth of, in terms of it degrades quality, but also I think he didn't say there's also dynamic cache, for example. So you can set how much of your hard drive you want to dedicate to caching data, so we don't stream anything twice, right? And you can preload. So it really depends on what you want to do. If you want to get the best quality and don't eat up your bandwidth all the time because someone is doing something else at home. I mean, I personally most of the time fly over maybe 10 airports, right? Maybe I go explore, of course, but when I train or when I want to do a checklist or so, these are just on the disk all the time, right? You don't load them every time you launch the sim. So I have a fairly big cache, several gigabytes, and it just stays there. So it's a complex thing. Like, you know, it's like videos. It depends on you can also preload videos, right, and watch them later. So it's the same here. But if you're going somewhere new and you have a very low bandwidth, then basically it's automatically gonna adapt, right? But if you stay in the area, it's all gonna come in, and then the bandwidth's gonna go back. I mean, the quality is gonna go back up. So it depends really on that. And also that's why we wanted to make sure people can play offline. Like I don't know, my little thing is also you play in a plane. So you want to take stuff with you, right? And have but what is when you fly out of this zone? Then you have the fully synthetic world, which is always there, and which is still true to the real world.
So just so you know, the demo you're running there has a cache running. It's 60 gigabytes, and it's the region around Renton. So just in case, and Seattle downtown. So it
really goes far away.
Yeah. So it depends on the level of quality, because there is a hierarchical level of quality. And the cache we have here has I don't know, it's something like 20 kilometers LOD19, or
yeah, then
I think. So LOD19 is like very high quality. It's the second one. We have 20. So. And it depends also if it's an area with pre-scans or not, photogrammetry or not. Photogrammetry is much bigger than without it. And so the UI for selecting areas, etc., isn't done yet. They're still in the works. And the idea is that you can also set. You can see the other way around. Like you set the size you want, and it gives you how much you can put in there.
Okay.
So, and the size of the cache doesn't change either.
Yes, I think if I get the question, I think it's exactly what Martial was referring to during his presentation. We have complete checklist. If you are super experienced and if you know your plane by heart, for example, and you are an actual pilot in real life, you don't need this. You can completely sim without it. But if you are, like, let's say 10 years old, you don't know at all about what is even starting a plane. The checklist system will basically drive you through every single step and show you every single instrument or system you need to switch on.
So just the checklist system, or there's some tutorials?
Oh yeah, sorry, I didn't get it. Yeah, there is tutorials too, okay. Obviously for every single key I would say process of flying. Basically, I would say to try to keep it like an overview. There is the checklist system I was talking about and Martial was talking about. There is the tutorials, but there is also other assistances which will give to beginners, players, the opportunity to play without doing the tutorial. Because what we've observed is that beginners, what is a tutorial about starting a plane cold and dark. They don't even know, so they will maybe not be attracted by the tutorial, but we want them to be able to do it anyway. So you can go really like, I'm 10 years old, I want to take a plane. It will be an actual sim. Don't take it wrong, you know what I mean? It will be the actual physics we were talking about, but several systems will allow this very beginner user to actually be able to fly and not make big mistakes like forget to put the flaps before landing, for example, this type of things.
So I just want to add something to what David's saying. This question gets asked a lot, and I see it in the forums a lot, so I want to make sure I answer it. It's not specifically the one you're asking, but it's the one we need to be answering. We're building this for core flight sim users. I'm not building this for 10-year-old Timmy, but that doesn't mean I want to leave him behind, right? Like when we say no pilot leave behind, we don't want to leave any pilots behind. That literally means if you have physical or mental disabilities, we're going to do our part to make your dream of flying come true. And that means we'll probably have to work really hard in some areas like the adaptive controller, etc., to make sure that you have a flight experience. If you want to fly, we want to help you fly. If your flight experience is inexperience or it's a lot of experience, I don't want inexperienced pilots to feel like this is not for me. But we're not really making it for them. We want it to be accessible, but I'm not making it for the guy with the Xbox controller. And by me, I mean we are not making this for the Xbox controller specifically. But I don't think we drive that point home hard enough for the people that we owe it to, which is the simulator folks. This literally is for you. Like, I think when we all sit here and talk about why we're building the product, it is because we were all at one point in time flight sim fans. And so we got to get this right with you guys first, and by you guys I mean the people that really have been propping up this thing for the past 35 years. And then let's make it accessible to everybody else. So I want to make sure that we are saying this, hey, we're going to make it accessible, we're not dumbing it down. Because I think that's something that people are sensitive to, and we want to be sensitive to that. I hope that helps.
All right. I think that concludes it. Thank you so much
Thank you
for the questions.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.